Hello clients, friends, and guests. Welcome back to Near Apogee Consulting. My name is Jo Beckwith. I'm a client advocate here. Something you may or may not know about me is that I used to be a real estate agent. I worked in real estate for 5 years before really understanding anything about the world of development or custom software. Now, something that I noticed there is that there was a lot of misunderstanding about what it meant to build a custom home. And as I got into software development, I noticed an even higher level of discomfort with building custom software. In my experience, more of us have lived in houses or even built them than have any experience or understanding of what custom software and that development process looks like. So I'm gonna draw some parallels and hope to bring some understanding. When I was working in real estate, the first thing that we would establish is what someone's budget to buy or build a house was. The biggest reason for that is because I didn't want to show someone the plans to build, their 6,000 square foot dream house with an infinity pool on a lake in the forest if all they could realistically afford or get a home loan for was a townhome in the city. In the world of real estate, the first step is almost always to establish the budget so that you don't do people the disservice of showing things that are outside their price range. Custom software development really works in a very similar way. One of the most important steps starting out is to establish your budget, because if you're talking to a software development company like us, we can show you the moon. We can show you the $5 million house with a pasture for your horses and a gorgeous view of the mountains, or the software equivalent of that, because we're capable of it. But we don't want to do that and set that as your expectation and what we're shooting for if what you're wanting to spend right now, if what you can afford for this phase of the project isn't that. Let me know if you felt this way as well, but another huge piece to buying or building a house was the overwhelmingness of all of it. As a real estate agent, it was my job to talk people through the process and let them know that it wasn't as overwhelming as it seemed to be, because they looked at trying to build a house. There were so many decisions that needed to be made within that, especially if you're building custom. It sounds terrifying and overwhelming, and you've never built a house before, so how are you supposed to know all these answers? But that's where the professionals come in. That's where you get advice and recommendations. That's where you lean on those people around you, such as your builder or your agent, who know what they're doing and have done it before. The same thing goes for software development. When I'm talking to a client who has an idea or wants to make a change and we're talking about how we could do that, I often notice that there's a lot of uncertainty. There's often the sense of being completely overwhelmed, which is understandable if you haven't done it before, if this isn't the world you live in, if you aren't a developer. You're kind of like a deer in the headlights, because it is a complicated process, but it doesn't have to be a complicated process for you as the client. We are here to support you through that process, to point out the things that need your attention, to show you what questions to be asking. You're not alone in this, and you don't have to be an expert to seek help. To some extent, I feel like software development is this overwhelming sounding thing to someone who isn't in it, and that's really understandable. But it's part of my job and the job of my company to break down this process into pieces that make sense, to chauffeur you along the path to being able to build this piece of your business. I'm curious if you can relate to any of this when it comes to software development. Do you feel like a deer in the headlights? Have you done this before? Do you know what questions to ask? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and your comments in the comment section down below. As always, know that my contact information is linked right down below in this description. I'd love to hear from you. If you have questions, if you have concerns, if you aren't sure even what questions to ask, that's what we're here for. And we would very much look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes out of your day here with us today. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video.